Hello, my name is Troy Payner. I am a neurosurgeon with Goodman Campbell Brain and Spine. I have the pleasure of presenting to you today the first in a series of discussions directed at residents who are seeking a job in neurosurgery, looking at their employment options. And today we have the pleasure of Dr. Bill Caldwell leading us off in this discussion on how to choose a practice. Bill, welcome.
Thanks, Troy. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to discuss this topic. So we'd like to just start off by giving an overview of some of the elements that go into choosing a practice. And to start off with, I have no disclosures to state. And Troy, I understand you have royalty from Stryker, but I don't think either one of us have any disclosures relevant to this topic.
Correct.
So let's talk about private practice versus academics, which is the major decision I think most residents face. And it's really dependent on the individual. I had a friend of mine who was a heart surgeon who used to say to me, you know, people end up doing what they want to do. And I think that's very true. And I think you need to weigh a number of considerations when you think about what type of job you wish to pursue. There's some overlap between the paradigms. They're not really mutually exclusive. And there's a number of programs around the country that's a hybrid of paradigms. We call these prividemics for short. And an excellent example is the Goodman Campbell Brain and Spine, where Troy works, the Barrow Neurological Institute, the Peoria Group in Illinois, and the New York Medical College Department, where I used to work in Westchester, New York. And these may include members of the group that are purely in academics and some that are purely in private practice. And maybe, Troy, you can comment a little bit on how the Goodman Campbell Brain and Spine group works.
So we are a true merger of a historically private practice that was already somewhat prividemic, but merged with the Indiana University Department of Neurosurgery. So we took what most would consider a pure academic practice and a pure private practice and actually merged them into one. And it has worked very well for us, but it took a lot of work to figure out how to make it work. And that would be a whole presentation on itself that I won't get into. But it is what you call prividemic. We truly are a hybrid of a university department of neurosurgery and a true private practice.
Thanks, Troy. So what are the pros of private practice? Well, these again are my personal observations over my career. It's easier to choose where you want to live because there's many more opportunities in private practice at community hospitals than there are at academic medical centers. There's more variety of practice opportunities. And the practice may be limited in scope, and this may be an advantage. You may want to limit your practice to mostly spine surgery, or for instance, or degenerative spine surgery. You may want to limit it to trauma. The case mix index may be lower, which may be an advantage for you in that you're not dealing with most complicated cases and less patients in the ICU, etc. And there's often better reimbursement. So what about the cons of private practice? Well, again, the practice may be limited in scope. And I'll talk more about this shortly, but you may find it harder to do the spectrum of complex cranial surgery in private practice that you were used to in your training program. The case mix index, therefore, may be lower. The night call may be worse because you'll be doing call primarily on your own as the first line, and you'll be maybe making and covering more ERs. There's less academic interest in the environment, and there'll be a need to negotiate for institutional support, for call, etc. Now, the antitrust issues are an